this is Lucia with The Art of Love. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back. And this week, I want to talk about why you shouldn't be mad at your ex. So if you've broken up with someone or you've been broken up with, you're going to feel a lot of emotions, and one of those emotions will probably be anger. I know I definitely felt it when I had my breakup that I talked about in the video titled My Breakup. So I know exactly how you feel. But I want to take a negative and turn it into a positive, so that's what I'm going to do with this video. But first, I want to welcome back the No Contact Army. Have you been a good little soldier or a bad little soldier? And thank you to everyone who has downloaded the No Silencio app, the No Contact app that will help people to stay in no contact. And if you haven't downloaded it, the link is below every single video. And if you too would love to join our wonderful No Contact Army, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the bell notification and you're in. And to read the No Contact Army manual, go to nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 pre-chapters before purchasing the book. So I recently put up a post in the community tab on YouTube, which if you don't check the post there, you really should, because I usually post every single day. And the question I asked was, how did you contribute to the ending of your last relationship? Because if you don't take a look at what part you had in the breakup, then even if you get back together, or if you move on with someone else, if you don't change what caused the last breakup, then it's going to happen again. And usually, if you've been broken up with, you contributed to it somehow. Or even if you had to break up with someone, you know, you're not that innocent. Now, there are obviously exceptions. Let's say if someone wasn't over their ex and you had no idea that they weren't, and all of a sudden they leave to go back with their ex, yeah, then you really didn't do anything wrong. Or if there are extenuating circumstances, maybe their children are against the relationship, or maybe it's long distance and you just can't reconcile the difference in the distance, then yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. But most of the time, you did do something which, well, let's not call it wrong. Let's call it not effective to producing a healthy relationship, okay? So I'm going to read some of these and make some comments in order to help you better understand what is usually the problem when there's a breakup. Okay, so the first one says, I think I was too controlling. I was so caught up with this man because I loved him so much, I overlooked all the red flags to keep his love. And, you know, when people fall in love, unfortunately, sometimes they become controlling, because being in love brings out uncontrollable emotions. You feel vulnerable, and so you try to control your partner. You feel so good, you want to make sure that you can keep experiencing those good feelings, and this is called mate guarding. But the crazy thing is that the more controlling you are, the less control you have, because they'll want to get away from you. So in trying to control them to make sure you don't lose them, you end up losing them. The best way to not lose someone is to not control them, as crazy as it sounds. Even though it's hard, because again, you're in love and you want to keep experiencing those emotions, and you think the best way to do it is to control them. But if a person feels free, then they are more likely to stay. But as people start to feel caged in and controlled, then they will want to head for the hills. And okay, the next one says, I allowed myself to be controlled because I needed her validation that I could be her puppet with no self-worth. So this is the total opposite. So instead of being controlling, being controlled isn't good either, especially if you're a guy. Then that is such a turnoff to women, because women do not want a guy that they can totally control. Now, we don't want a guy that's totally out of control either, but someone that we can control, we lose respect for them, and we see them as a doormat, and we may use them, but we will not love them because we don't respect them. So do not let yourself be controlled. Another one said, ignoring the red flags, being too available, and realizing that he was emotionally unhealthy due to his childhood trauma and previous toxic relationship, and we weren't compatible. So that's a lot of reasons why that ended up falling apart. And in terms of the red flags, there were a lot of people that said that they ignored the red flags. And here's what happens when you have a very high interest level in someone, or when you're in love. You stop seeing the person for who they really are, and you start projecting all your fantasies onto them of who you want them to be, or who you think they are, or who you hope they are. So you're detached from reality. People on the outside can see it. Your friends can see it. Your family can see it. They think you're crazy, but you won't listen to anybody. No, it's not true. This person's great. So everyone can see it but you. And this is how you end up being manipulated and wasting months or years of your life with the wrong person. So just being aware that this happens should hopefully make you more aware of the red flags. And when you do see them, you have to be very objective and go, am I projecting onto this person how I think they are, or are they really just not the right person for me, but I refuse to see it because I think that my fantasy of being in love will finally come true. Okay, another one. He took me for granted and drove me crazy with his hot and cold behavior. I was always super cool in a relationship, and suddenly I became this jealous and controlling bitch. And someone said, I dislike this type of man. They take away your balance away from you. Yeah, but you know what? You also give away your balance. Okay, no one can take anything away from you unless they have a gun, unless you voluntarily give it up. So unfortunately, with the hot and cold behavior, people don't know how to handle that. Basically, if they're hot and all of a sudden they back off, they start to be cold, people's tendency is to become hot in order to get that person to be hot again. And you have to actually do the opposite. They pull back, you pull back. They become cold, you become cold. That's really the only way to counteract that, besides leaving. But we don't always want to leave. We just want to show, okay, you're going to back away, then I'm going to back away too. So don't go chasing people who pull away from you. That's the natural tendency, but that is not going to get you anywhere. Okay, again, with the red flags. It says, ignoring red flags, letting him gaslight me into thinking everything was my fault, being needy, investing too much when he did very little, double messages. He's a neurologist and had this I know everything and you don't attitude. Wouldn't call me for a week and then called me obsessive compulsive when I wasn't happy. What does OCD have to do with being happy? I don't know. So again, here's a lot of issues. That's what happens. You ignore the red flags. You become needy. You invest too much. Recipe for disaster. Another one, giving everything I had and still falling short. So several people said this. What does it mean when you, I'm asking this seriously. What does it mean when someone says, I gave everything I had? I really don't know. Make a comment down below and let me know. And you shouldn't be giving, quote unquote, everything you have unless the other person is also doing the same. So people think that, I'll just give and give and give, and then they'll give back. And then when they don't get back, they're disappointed. That's because you're giving with an agenda. If you want to give, go ahead, but don't expect anything back. And by the way, ladies, giving is masculine energy. Everyone thinks that giving is feminine. No. Nurturing is feminine when a person is sick or young, a young child. But giving, no. When men fall in love, they want to give. They want to provide. So if you're doing the giving, you're in your masculine energy, and that's a turnoff. The next one is, I was way too nice. No boundaries or standards. Yep. Putting all the focus on her when I should have been focusing on myself. That's right. That's a turnoff, because you weren't totally focused on her when you first met her, and then making her the total focus of attention is, even if that's what they want. I've had several clients that they said, oh, well, she asked me right away, am I seeing anybody else? And I'm not giving her enough attention. And then when they did give what she asked for, they got bored and they pulled away. So just because a woman says she wants all your attention, it doesn't mean that she's going to be happy when she gets it. So keep that in mind. Okay, took her for granted, got comfortable. This happens a lot. In fact, I did a whole video on that, on guys taking women for granted, because you're just the guys doing it. And I'll put the link to that above. And the thing is, sometimes when people fall in love, they may lose their sense of purpose, and they stop working out. They're not as motivated, as they once were to do many things, including make more money, be more ambitious. And that's because falling in love was their main goal, even if they didn't consciously know that. So they've reached their goal and they feel that they can relax. And this leads to not being motivated to impress your partner anymore, to not going out, to not doing new things. People just want to sit around at home, eat, watch movies. They stop hanging out with friends. I'm sure we've all had friends who, once they get into a relationship, they just disappear, right? Isn't that annoying? It's like, hello, what happened? We used to hang out and have fun. Now just because you have a man or a woman, now we don't exist anymore. And, it's okay for a little while. When you first get together, you just want to hang out and not see anybody else. But if that's how it's going to be most of the time, where you're just doing nothing, you're just coming home, sitting around, watching TV, eating, that gets boring. And at some point, someone's going to lose interest. Do not get lazy just because you're in a relationship. Okay? So there's a lot more. I don't want to make this video too long, but I would like to hear your comments below and let me know how you think that you contributed to the ending of your last relationship and what you're going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And if you'd like my help to get your ex back, go to theartoflove.net. The direct link is below and we will send you the rates. If this video has been helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. If you're listening to a podcast, please rate and review. And finally, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.